All right, everybody. So welcome. Week 5 review. Here are the match results. We've got Colorado Life West, which was an excellent game, 38-36. And then Beantown over the Zons by 60 points, and All Blues over North Shore by 60 points. So pretty big point spreads again this week for majority of the games. Oh, don't look at this yet. That's not right. All right, let's go to matches. Katie and Kat, if you don't mind leading us off.
Yeah, happy to. Yeah, so final score was 60-0. It was a very rainy day. I know when Kat and I were talking, she made a joke of, did I finally dry off? It took a while, but it was a good time. It didn't have to be too involved in the game, which is pretty nice. I think a stat not shown on here is there was 23 lineouts, so that was fun. Um, Definitely a lot of those as I was going through coding. I'm like, wow, this is a lot. Didn't feel like that many on the day. But really good flowing game. There was a bit of a trend of high tackles in the first half, and I kind of informally talked with both teams. Kat and I chatted some on how to have better conversations. Like for me, that was just my informal threshold. She reminded me if it's foul play, two is probably my formal chat threshold. So kind of recalibrating for me, having some of those more serious conversations sooner, but the trend didn't continue, so I didn't need to escalate, and we're pretty good.
Awesome. Kat, anything from you?
No, nothing to add. Pretty well disciplined teams, and yeah, I feel like if Katie had been challenged more, she would have very easily stepped up to the challenge.
Super. I'm pretty sure right now I know I did not optimize for sound, so I'm gonna stop sharing and start over again so I can get that done. So, because I know Katie's got audio. All right. Hopefully that'll help us out. You want to start with the mall?
Yeah, and I know Kat had some more thoughts and ideas on this because this is one that I missed day of. But I think it's a good thing to be watching out for, and more on that in a bit.
Sorry, were they outside the 22 from the ruck?
They're inside.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry. Liquid bomber.
Back low.
Call.
And drive, 2, 3. And drive, 2, 3. And drive.
All right.
Mhm. So a couple things here. First thing, definitely got the mark wrong for this line out. Took me to the second half to kind of pick up on Chicago would do a bunch of crash plays to get right up to the 22 and then do the clearing kick. They had just gone past the 22, so they brought the ball back inside before they kicked it out. So I, yeah, just further learning from now. But the main thing we'll look at in this one that we want to talk about is the maul that happens. So, and I mean, I can start this and pick up on it.
What's
Um,
that?
I was like, I can start the conversation, then I know Kat has more on this as
Yeah.
well. So from my positioning, was happy with it, was going, was trucking along. Then the mall stops, and then one group kind of shears off right there, which is what we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, so I just felt I feel like it's rare we ever get film kind of this clear of this. And so I just thought it was a really good, like I think Katie's in a really good position. I think ideally this is an AR call. Obviously, it would be a massive AR call to come in with. But I just thought it was a really great clip of that mall stopping and then
They're
to
inside.
start that we've got gold players changing lanes and then hitting with the ball carriers at the back, so it's obstruction. Um, and I was just kind of like, wow, I've never seen video this good.
Okay, so right here, The number one is in front of the ball carrier, and they've broken off and changed lanes like it was the same mall. Everybody good with that? Had they been bound to the 8, it would have been a different story, but she's not bound, they're not bound. Lane change. Obstruction. Cool. Anything else on this one?
Nope.
Awesome.
Next one going, yes. So I'm going to play this and I want y'all to see your thoughts on like order of operations and what would you call instead, or do what I do. What would you call, period, based on this sequence?
Second first.
Apparently, if you go in slow motion, it stops all the noise.
Second first.
Thoughts?
So for everyone that's struggling to see what it is, it's like over the shoulder, indirect head contact, penalty only, high tackle after the players stepped in touch, kind of simultaneous, maybe a little after the whistle. So Katie calls touch because touch is first, but then was asking the question, do you actually go play the penalty even though you've already blown the whistle for touch? So it's just trying to get clarification on what the group would kind of do in that situation.
It's Tyler. So, did you have any foul play up to this point? I know you said you had a few high tackles over the course of the game. Was this the first instance that you recognized that there were some high tackles going on?
This was the, I think, second one against Chicago, either the second or third. So I'd already penalized for sure once. I think this is the second one. And I talked to that player. And I think as this line is forming, I also talked to their captain. I'm like, hey, get our tackles down. So not the first one, but not more than the second or third.
Okay. So I think that it was pretty close between touch and your whistle. I feel like that's something we can see often is like ball goes into touch, players into touch, whatever. As we're blowing the whistle, something weird happens. And I think it's in this instance, it's not like severe foul play that I'd be like, oh, well, we definitely should penalize that. So I think if you're saying you had the conversation, I think that that's fine. And then you just kind of move on.
Yeah, appreciate that. I know Kat and I are talking like on this one, if it's a borderline, I mean, not borderline, like if it's a penalty only or less of a foul play, would we let it play on? If it's yellow card worthy, definitely like this is where I'm much more happy overturning that penalty or like overturning the decision. Like, yes, touch was first, but this foul play is bad enough that it needs to happen. Be sanctioned. That's the word. Any other thoughts or process of order of operations?
Okay. So if we see clear foul play, I would like us to sanction it. Does that work for everybody?
Can you hit play on that again? I'm driving and kind of it slowed down so I can actually watch.
So it's an over the shoulder tackle. It's really hard to see because of where the flag touch judge is. It looks like there's pretty decent contact to the neck to me. If it's not, and it's just like a tackle at the shoulder area, then I'm fine playing through it. Could you see it any better, Mary?
Yeah, I can see it a little bit better, but it's on a phone, so I'll rewatch the tape. Just that gives me something to refer back to.
Okay. Super. Everybody good? And now story time.
Yep, story time. So this is a 3-clip sequence. I call it the preamble. Yeah. This one, just watching, listening, move on to the second one.
Green. Green, use it.
So this is Green's second line out, was this one that we just watched. I'd already identified that they're walking into it, making sure they're not trying to slow it too much. I talked to them when I thought they're going too slow. Then this next one, I think, is 2 green lineouts later.
Okay, so you talked to them after this line out?
During this lineout is kind of where I said, green, use it. That was about all the warning that I gave. So I didn't really formally talk to the team yet, and that's kind of what Kat and I are talking about with this story time. So for me, this is kind of an informal warning. First instance of use it, like you're walking in, like go faster, use the ball. Again, could be more clear in this communication, especially taking that to the next line out and making sure I'm more clear on we need to form the line out faster.
Okay. So if you were to redo this line out right now, would you still just say use it, or is there different language you would use?
It's a little tricky because this one, there were some issues with the tunnel because at first we're marking at one spot and then something happened where I ended up moving the mark a little bit, so adjusting the tunnel. And with that, like green was more set to line up than they had been. So I tell them first to walk in. They kind of do that, but then I move the tunnel because it was strange. I'm not sure why that happened with the mark change, but that kind of threw me off a little bit. And ideally, when I'm looking at these situations and to make it the most professional, definitely looking at that time off, clarify where the tunnel is, or like double whistle, here's our tunnel, green, form the line out, and then move on, happy days.
Okay, because right here you wave them in and they really do nothing.
Yeah.
And then you say use it.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe get in the line out instead of use it.
Yeah. And then this next one, again, there's a little bit of a mark shift because Gold wasn't happy with how much of the tunnel there was.
Okay, green, step up. Thank you. Green, y'all need to form the line out, please.
Check. Still. Ready? 2, 3, 6, 7.
Use it.
Yeah. So again, story could be clearer here. In general, if we look at it from the last line I talked to them, I'd waved them in. They didn't really move. I'd said use it. They finally get going and get this done. And this line out, again, similar issues where we're last minute widening in tunnel. I again wave them in. They again don't move. And then for me, it's like they make a fake run to the front, don't throw it in. I'm saying use it. At that point, I could have been straight to free kick right then because they'd already made a movement, didn't throw it in. I'm like, maybe I'll give them a little bit more time. I kind of say use it. They make one more movement. I don't see the ball immediately. We're going free kick. Both in the second half, I think so.
First one we watched was definitely in
In
the
the first half. Yeah.
This must be the second half because Gold was going the other direction in the last clip we watched.
Yeah. And I think up to this point, Green didn't have a whole lot of lineouts that they were throwing in. the first clip we showed was their second total line out. I think this was their fourth total line out. So there'd been one in between later on in the first half, and that one was okay. And now we get to this one. Again, mark change, taking a long time. The whole process from when I set the mark to when the ball was finally thrown in, I think was about 30 seconds. And I remember we were talking last week. Again, it was one of my games where they were kind of walking and taking a long time. I let that line out happen. So I was kind of a little bit looking for it this week, which is why I was on green from the start to get in the lineup. Let's form it quickly. I think, again, still could make more of what I love Kat's phrase of a song and a dance of it. Like, tweet, you need to form the line out faster, and do that kind of as a formal warning before getting to the free kick stage. And I kind of skipped that step in the sequence.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I think one of the helpful things like that I've taken in is I always say you're doing it for the thousands of fans watching at home. Granted that we know rare matches get thousands of fans watching at home, but it's that big, like I do call it song and dance, so that everybody knows what the problem is. The problem's you're not walking into the line out and what's going to happen next. Because then when you go to the free kick, everybody watching is like, yeah, well, she did tell them. And so that's kind of why it's like, it may seem ridiculous for just the people on the field, but for everybody else, it just takes the pressure off you when it finally happens.
Yep. And then last one.
Yeah. So kind of bringing it full circle. This is the very next green line out. We can play it.
Green, we gotta go faster.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had it in my head.
Instead of we got to go faster, how would you handle it next time?
Just saying form the line out quickly or something along those lines. Like for me, I was more specific in what I said here because in my mind, I'm like, okay, we just had a free kick because they weren't forming it fast enough. So I need to tell them form it faster.
So I will just clarify. You did not free kick for forming it faster. You free kicked for not throwing the ball in. So there's two separate things, right? They have to form the line out without delay, and then they have to throw the ball in without delay. So they are two separate things.
Cool.
Okay. So yeah, our agreement that we've talked about, right, is we're going to blow the whistle, then give them a very clear warning, right? Get in the line out, or I will move to free kicks. One for each team. And then we go to free kicks. Super. Anybody have comments or questions? Thank you, Katie and Kat. Let's see. What's this? Alexis, you and Bob. Mike asked to go last. So are you guys good?
Yep. Yeah, good. Yeah, a game, similar to Katie's of just 60s to 0. A lot of holding on penalties. I don't fully agree with all of them on review. But yeah. Otherwise, overall felt pretty decent. Amazon's always just like keep trying, but as soon as anyone breaks their line, they kind of fumble, or fumble is maybe not the right word, but kind of fall apart. So that's a bit tough.
Bob, anything from you?
Yeah, it was a good game. You can see by the match, Amazons were just outmatched by Beantown. And like she was saying, as soon as they got to the outside, anything to the backs, they blew it open. They were fairly equal in the other phases. So yeah, overall, I thought some nice. It gave some good coaching points to maybe bring down the penalty count a little on some contextual stuff. But overall, a nice match.
Beautiful. Where should we start?
Yeah, we can go bottom to top for mine. So the first one is just one more above your mouse. Yeah, the scrum positioning for the 8-man pick. I think actually all of mine are positioning related, so that is fun. This is the first scrum of the game. I stood on the far side, and they do an 8-man pick, and I'm just completely in the way. And this happened more than once, so I want to see what other people think. Yeah. And then I tried to tell the blue team 8-man and like just their players to like stay in the scrum. And then I end up just being in the way and doing like a horizontal back pedal, which doesn't look good and also doesn't feel good. So if anyone has any other like recommendations of like where I could stand for that, yeah.
Hi, Alexis. This is Amelia. So as soon as you see that 8-man pick it up and come running towards you, if you just take a step toward the scrum, they're going to go around you. And that's something that we've talked about a bit at the MLR level. It takes a little while to get used to it and it feels wrong, but then when they run past you, it feels so much better than you just trying to backpedal out of there.
Okay, cool.
And you can take a step in and turn toward it, so you'll still be able to see the tackle being made.
Okay. Sweet. Thank you.
What's really funny is I just watched a clip of Amelia do this perfectly in her D1A match. Do you want to give me 1 minute and see if I can find it?
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Oh, we have to find the D1A match. Here it is. And my internet has to work quickly enough so that we can not waste a bunch of time here. It was towards the end of the game. Oh yeah, no, I'll never find it now.
You got 25 scrums to pick through there.
Yep. All I remember is that it was towards the end. I can just try it.
Keep an eye on McCormick, who will be keeping an eye on Hall.
Yeah, last time Navy went weak. This time they're going
Oh.
strong side.
Open.
All right, well, I will find it before the...
I don't know how many scrums we've had earning their keep.
There it is.
And Haw immediately, certainly the front row has been earning their keep. And Haw immediately, the 8-man.
But yeah, a lot of times your space is right beside the scrum.
Certainly the front.
Like a matrix move.
Yeah, you see that hair flop. It's like it's perfect.
Looked pretty good in slow motion.
Yeah. That's a great example.
And great job, Amanda, finding that. Sweet.
Most of the time I watch things and then I can't remember where they are, so that's just luck.
The second one that I had was line out positioning. This is not great. So positioning, materiality, and empathy. We can watch it happen and then I can talk about it.
Okay.
So positioning at the lineout, it doesn't look great. I think it's something that someone told me very early in my refereeing career and has just stuck, which is stand right at the back of the lineout, which has clung for far too long, I think. So that was part of the positioning piece. A materiality aspect to the offside call, which came in from the AR. The error was Dan Frankenfeld, and it was delightful to referee with him, as a side note. And he called that in, and I think I just kind of like immediately trusted him and went with that. But it's not super material. Again, the Amazons at this point are losing by 60 points. So that to bring it all the way back, and then it's not super empathetic. And then part of what this doesn't include, what I thought it did, was I then immediately penalized them again for not being back 10. And the player who made that tackle on review did get back 10, but her teammates around her or their teammates around them did not.
Okay.
That just feels bad.
What are you going to do with your positioning?
Probably stand towards the front, and then look out, and then face towards the defense so that I can actually see them. And then I can be a better judge as well about if I care about where the defense started.
Sounds
and
good.
keep them honest. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of conversation about east-west facing, right? And we talked about this is your view, right? And if you do take that inside position in the lineup, which is great, if you have a good trusting AR who can watch the front, you still want to go north-south, right? Because that's how you can manage everything else. So yeah, it's nice. Good.
Breakdown?
And then yeah, we can do that one too. It's very similar to the scrum one in the sense of like going sideways across the field to get out of the way. It was kind of hard to find a good example, so this is pretty quick.
Okay. And what are you going to work on doing instead?
So what I've been trying to do, or what I was trying to do during the game, is position myself between the defenders so that they can still have access to make the tackle, and then like not be in their way. But I think that I think this wasn't great. So a different option would be out a little bit further, or be in a little bit tighter. That first defender is pretty wide, like not really close to a post position. I guess there is one, but I could squeeze in tighter or be further out.
A lot of times too, if you just hold still, you create
Hmm.
less traffic jam.
Sure. That was another piece of feedback from Bob, is overworking.
Cool.
Yeah. And then the last was a palate cleanser, because I at one point ran so fast and stopped so quickly that my watch thought that I was in a car accident and had to ask if I was okay. So this is that.
I thought this was great. Good work hard. Way to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got good speed for sure.
Yeah. And then I'm not an X, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Anything else from you guys?
That's all I had.
No, it's nice.
Good. Lots of positioning stuff. Good
Yeah,
for everybody to
definitely.
remember and think about. And last but not least, Mike,
Hello.
how's it going?
Going good. Is Olivia is driving too, right? I think so.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna pull over real quick. Be somewhere safe. But yeah, the game was really good. Very competitive from the start. And I know that Life West really wanted a different style of rugby. They wanted a lot quicker ball. And so I was trying to reward that and try and penalize against that. And then Colorado wanted more static, but more like structured play. So trying to reward that and trying to create that for them as well as best I could. Olivia noticed an issue that I'm kind of facing now is that I am a lot more focused than I used to be on attack and really allowing them to do things that I'm I'm very critical of defense, and it almost has to be too perfect in order to steal it and to take that ball away. So one of the issues that I had was just overthinking calls that I made, especially early in the game. That I was like, man, I should have let the attack just continue there. So that's one of my penalties that I showed you that in the clips. It's just overthinking things a little bit too much, and just if it's a good defensive play, it's deserved to be rewarded, and not just trying to play through it constantly. So that was a good learning thing for me as well. Yeah, but other than that, very close game. Went down to the wire, went right to the end. But yeah, Colorado came through. So I think the first one is good call
Just a second,
overthinking.
Olivia, anything from you on this?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Mike did a great job of coding this game. We had a really good discussion. And, what he's speaking to when he shows you the clip, he was consistent in it. And then he had 2 non-decisions, but they were the same decision, one that was not made for each team. So the nice thing about what he's doing in his mindset is he's being consistent to each team, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. You want to start with the obstruction?
No, the good call overthinking.
Okay.
I think it's
Got it.
Got it. Yeah, that's So just a context real quick. It was a big line break by Life West. I think we were 3 minutes in. They've pushed all the way from their 22, and they've had this big line break, and then they're hot in the trot. So go from there.
And your question is, should you have played through it?
I couldn't play through because she was on the ground holding it at that point. But the problem to me was like, was the tackle? I'm having all these thoughts. Is the tackle complete? Was she now the new tackler? Does she need to show release after she touches her? So does she need to touch her to complete the tackle? Did she get her hands on the ball before the? There's just so many questions, and I'm like, is this now? I should have just say let go of it and give the attack the ball because I'm questioning myself. But at the same time, I felt she did very well to get back. She's isolated. I felt that the tackle was completed, even though she wasn't held, and I rewarded the jackler. And this clip stumped me for a while. I sent it to a lot of friends, but it seems that it was a good call afterwards.
Yeah. If I looked at it in slow motion, it throws me off, but in real time, I see an extra movement by the ball carrier. Everybody happy? Can live with that? You want to go to the yellow card?
Let's go to the obstruction or misread obstruction first. Yes. So this is probably our first strong maul of the game by the Grey Wolves. And what I have is, as you'll see, is I have number 7 from Life West collapsing it. In my heart, as a jumper myself, I wanted to give a yellow card, but I felt it was the first time, first offense, first maul. So I was a little soft in it. But what Olivia notices is actually a red obstruction before the round even began. So probably should have handled that first. Oh, the clip cut? Oh, darn. Okay, it was too short.
Was it?
But,
yes.
I think the obstruction is there.
Yeah, the obstruction you can see pretty clearly.
Yes, yeah. So I was so focused on defense that you got to focus on attack too. So I give the penalty and I give a verbal warning to number 7 for collapsing the maul. And we go to the next clip, which is going to be the next maul after that.
So we got 5 seconds for bumper there. There's another line out clip.
Yes. So it's the one. So they get a penalty for this collapsing the maul. Sorry, say it again.
Is it called yellow card?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
So I've had a verbal warning with number 7. Or 6, sorry, 6.
It was 6 who pulled it down on this one.
Yeah, 6 on the first one as well. Sorry.
Was it really?
Mixing. So at this point in my head, I get a call from the ARs. She confirms that it is number 6. It's the second more she's collapsed. So I feel like it's yellow card worthy, even though they scored the try. So I found her and gave it the yellow card. Explained to the captain why. But Olivia made a great point that not one of the Colorado players even recognized that I gave that yellow card. And I think that what a good lesson there is that even though I struggle to give admonishment after a try because they're already down, they've just been scored on, and then I'm giving a yellow card, it's like a double punch. I think a good thing to do is either to make sure that the red team sees you doing it, or make a big scene, a big whistle before the kick, or at least at the halfway, call the captain from red over and just let them know that I have handled the multiple infringements at the lineouts, and she's been shown a yellow card, just to make sure that everyone's aware. Because otherwise they may get this assumption that he's not handling the collapse more, even though I have.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any thoughts about that? I also did not know that you carded, and my personal notes say this should be a yellow card. And so you put this clip in, and I was like, wait a minute. Pretty
Yeah,
funny.
so that's that clearly, if even on the review we're not even seeing it, I'm not making a big enough deal about it.
Yep. Well, I'm sure I fast forwarded at some point after the try, but yeah, I didn't. Pretty funny.
So just to confirm, you do agree that even though the try is scored, we still go back to the yellow card?
Absolutely.
If it was a different player, it would still be a yellow card?
Depends on how fast that mall was moving, doesn't it?
Okay.
Dealer's choice. But yeah, I mean, you could. But since it was the second one for number 6, absolutely.
Right, that's what I thought too. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's all the clips I had.
Cool. All right. Well, I do think everybody put that picture of the obstruction at the line out by Colorado in your heads. That's going to be important moving forward. There was actually 2 of those in that game. And we can wrap this puppy up early, huh? What's going well? Advantage was a work on 2 weeks running and actually looked very good this week, all around across all 3 games. I would say make sure that we're continuing to focus on holding the defense to a high standard. We had a high number of ball carrier not releasing penalties, and especially where you could see that the tackler hadn't rolled. Make sure we're setting our standards early. A bunch of Katie's game didn't have a lot of penalties, but in the other 2 matches, there were significantly less penalties in the first half than there were in the second half, which could be attributable to the subs coming in, but also we just need to make sure we're blowing the penalties we should early on so that everybody knows what we're playing to. And then continuing to focus on our escalation and the chats and cards at the right moments. Couple of shout outs. Tim and Lindsay, congratulations on your matches. Looked like everybody had fun. Lindsay, your pictures were gorgeous. Right now, congrats to our friend Elvie, who's in Amsterdam doing the Military Sevens Challenge. And then Mike, Olivia actually said it, but she also had sent me a note about your self-analysis being very good. So great work. Keep it up. this is what next week looks like. We've got Katie doing Colorado, New York at home. Lindsay travels to Beantown and the North Shore of the game. Jenny heading down to do All Blues, and the Zons are coming over for that. Good luck. Good luck to everybody. Thanks for being here. And I will stop this recording if I can find where to stop it. Sorry, my Zoom updated, so I can't find like anything right now. There we go.